Hey, Indy here. This is an RPG a day video. This one is for the 26th. What hobbies go well with RPGs? Let me go ahead and cover the three obvious ones. One, reading. Reading is a very good hobby to have in parallel with role playing, both fiction and nonfiction. I believe it was, Red Dice Diaries who listed a lot of nonfiction uh, books for his sources of story ideas and character ideas. Um, so both fiction and nonfiction are really good sources. Um, the other two, at least I think that would be pretty common to hear, um, are video games and board games. Both set uh, a world, set a theme, set a setting, and have a choice involved. Even if it's an Ameritrash board game that has a whole lot of randomness involved, there's still a good amount of choice. So those can be good sources of both inspiration and if you're an introspective person, which I think is actually just generally required, but I really couldn't call that a hobby. Is it a hobby to think about yourself and why you think certain ways? I don't know if it's a hobby. It's a good thing for everybody to be doing, but I don't think I would call it a hobby. If you are introspective then, and you are thinking about what do I like about this game's mechanics, what do I not like about this game's mechanics, what is it about this game that attracts me, you start digging at the aesthetics of joy, which is something in some academic paper published somewhere, which I haven't read. I heard about it secondhand through extra credits on YouTube in their Redefining Video Game Genres video, where they reference the Mechanics, Dynamics, Aesthetics paper. Now, I wanted to go ahead and try to think outside, but before I continue, let me touch back on that. Being able to look at board games and video games and understand them in these ways is clearly something that you can use in your role-playing games as well. What is it about LARPs that I don't like? You know, I've spent time thinking about that. Whether that's an objective conclusion or a subjective conclusion, it's neither here nor there. But that's something useful to think about these things. I think it's useful for, especially in our video responses and the way we communicate with other players, that we have a good understanding of what is it that this game does or try to do, and what does it do well, and where does it fail, and why would you, person I'm talking to, find it interesting? Why do I find it interesting? Or other reservations. I think there's a lot about game design that I find really interesting, and maybe that's why I feel like those, besides the spawning of ideas, might be really useful hobbies. But to continue, I wanted to think beyond those three hobbies that are so closely tied to role-playing, whether it's through correlation of players or just similar tastes. So what I came up with is a passion for some kind of, gosh, I didn't think about how to phrase this as a whole. A passion for some kind of counseling / personal understanding. So maybe this goes right back to what I was saying about being introspective and understanding yourself and what you like about games, what you don't like about games. Let me try to explain this through example. I have a passion for personal finance counseling. I've helped people with their budgets and with their relationships and marriages talking about how money is viewed, how money is handled, and getting at that fiscal peace, fiscal serenity. It's not about having a large budget, a large bank account. Most of us should be well aware of world-known people who are loaded and not happy. Fiscal security is a fiscal peace is much more about how you relate to money and how you relate to other people. And this takes a certain amount of introspection. It also takes a certain amount of looking at the underlying cause, effects, and dynamics of systems. And there might be, I'm sure there are other kinds of hobbies or passions or interests that lend themselves to similar kinds of understanding of your emotions and driving factors and things. Here's this amoral concept, but when viewed this way it can go bad, and when viewed this way it can go well. And I guess this, I list this because this has a very similar kind of impact on the hobby and the worlds you built and the characters you build, as the other introspection that I talked about. The other introspection is good for understanding yourself and understanding why you want to make or play or make particular game systems. But this one goes into the character part of role-playing, understanding how characters interact, understanding what backgrounds might generate in a particular character's personality. There's some Psych 101 kind of assumptions that we make that maybe are true, maybe are not true, or just boring tropes. And understanding these things can help us flesh them out in either different and unusual and interesting ways, or to build an onion of a character with lots of layers. So that's what I came up with, to go a little further beyond what I expected to be a very common answers. If you'd like to find out more about RPG A Day or RPG Brigade, this year's hosts, the links are down below. You can also go there to find other people's answers to these questions and share your own. Feel free to comment down below with any of your responses to these same questions, or to post links to other people's content that you found also interesting.